but in a nutshell, the way I would describe this in an event context is I make a distinction between personalization and hyper personalization in this regard. I view personalization as more like not pushing the envelope quite as much, but kind of looking at it in terms of segments of individuals. Hyper personalization is a much higher bar in my view, because now you're really talking about a one-to-one, perhaps even real time. Of course, we're being told that AI can do this. That's bullshit. We can talk about that. But in the context of an event, if I were an event organizer, what I would do is I would mostly do personalization. In other words, I would think about what are the roles and industries of my customers, and how can I get them into industry-specific settings that are going to suit their roles and needs? Because, like I said, so much of the pandemic is playing out by industry. It's the industry discussions that are paramount right now, not so much cross-industry challenges. And then for hyper-personalization, where I would translate that is the top 10% of my customers are going to get a more personalized event experience than everyone else. And that's going to be done probably by some personal reach out, helping you to plan your schedule and all that stuff. I never understand why people don't segment their most profitable and important customers and treat them differently when they have ample opportunity to do that. Bob is hoping that on the ground events become more interactive based on what we're learning from virtual. And I would love that too. I mean, again, it's creative event design translates to any format. If you get better at creative event design and more comfortable taking some risks, you can do that on the ground also. But it does require stepping back from this kind of mentality around like, oh, let's blow them away with this cheese fondue, reception, there's so much of a focus on entertainment. And I understand to some degree why that is. But the thing is, if you need to entertain the shit out of your customers so much, like, is there a problem? Because the thing is, like, if you really love your product and are passionate about it, you shouldn't need that much. I mean, Salesforce is the classic example of this, because I go to Salesforce shows and I see these people waiting in these 30, 45-minute lines to go into the most sessions I would consider boring, and they're not unhappy at all. They're not even complaining, because they have this passion for what they're doing there. And I'm like, wow, and they're not the only vendor that's accomplished that. I mean, I noticed that at Tableau, which of course is now part of Salesforce. Tableau's got that with Data Geeks, same kind of thing. But the point is, like, isn't that passion what you really want? Not some kind of faux excitement. So yeah, you got to have that passion, but then you need to create interactive ways of developing it. Yeah, I mean, I'm making the argument that the future events should be hybrid, and not just streaming keynote, but and I wrote a piece about it, and I haven't figured it all out yet, but I think when we go back to on the ground, I think it will be a gradual thing, and we're going to have a need to include these broader audiences, and we're going to hopefully figure out the advantages of those formats. And to Bob's point, like, maybe we can make on the ground events better, because on the ground events weren't that great. I'm sorry, they weren't